Young Thug.
Nigga, hey, do that slime shit. Hey.
Clearly a creative artist.
YSL shit.
Or is he a criminal hiding as an artist?
Hey, killing 12 shit. Hey, fuck up jail shit.
Hey, YSL shit. Hey, killing 12 shit. Hey, fuck a jail shit. In the VIP and I got that pistol on my hip.
In the Ville, and I got that pistol on my hip.
People are wondering whether or not it's fair to use his rap lyrics against him.
That's an interesting question. Before we start, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I have something for you.
All right, appreciate it.
Technically, it's from Salon, but
Oh, that's so nice.
my wife baked these. These are for you. Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you so much. That's so creative.
Hell yeah, bro.
That's really nice.
They're
looks straight out of-
freshly baked cookies. You're going to love them.
That looks like something I watch on YouTube or Pinterest. It's pretty cool. Thank you so much. Tell her I said thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to leave it right there. Part of the show now. It's part of the show.
I think that works. Okay, so let's dive into it. Young Thug.
Yes.
Right?
Jeffrey Williams on trial for RICO, for basically being a mafia member almost, running the entire gang of what they call YSL. And now people are wondering whether or not it's fair to use his rap lyrics against him.
Right. So YSL, I've heard it mentioned as Young Slime Life. I've heard it mentioned as Young Stoner Life before that. I think it's
Young solo life with the.
You've heard that too?
Well, that's what one of the Corey Jackson, who was witness, testified that. It depends on how you interpret it. Brian Steele, the attorney, said that it was modeled after Yves Saint Laurent, which was the fashion designer, because
Right.
he liked to wear tight clothes and he liked fashion. So
There's a lot of stuff going back and forth here from the prosecution side, from the defense side. Let's break it down for a sec.
Sure.
So Young Thug, Jeffrey
Williams. Yeah.
Iconic, very famous rapper. He, I think, pioneered mumble rap.
I'm not really.
I have a hard time with mumble rap, but
I'm not really an expert on it, but I do know he pioneered a new type of rap.
He's huge in trap. He's huge in mumble rap. He may have been a pioneer in mumble rap. He's very different. Right. People, a lot of media has written about him as being the weirdo in rap. Like, he does interesting, weird, sometimes gender bendery things. He's also into fashion.
Well, the gender bender thing, by the way, is because his lawyer explained in the opening statement is because he was poor and he literally was wearing his sister's jeans, which were girl jeans, and that's why they were tight. And he'd wear dresses, and he flipped it around in a cool way to make the dresses look cool, kind of like the Scots. Wearing your kilt.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's like a backstory, but he's clearly a creative artist.
Very. Well, it seems like that, but is he a creative artist or is he a criminal hiding as an artist? That's what the trial is about.
That's an interesting question. He's been described in the media as pulling tricks with his vocals that other rappers never had, as doing everything from mumbling to slurring to screaming to singing to just changing it up. There's a lot of creativity and innovation, it looks like, that he's brought to hip hop or to rap or to mumble rap or to trap. You ask, is he a criminal though? So he's charged with a lot of stuff here. Let's talk about what Young Thug is charged with exactly.
Well, essentially, he's being charged with running an enterprise. Think of it like a company. And they're saying his company, even though the company's making money, is really a criminal company, kind of like the mafia. In fact, the statute or the law that is being charged with is the same statute as John Gotti was charged, who was the head of the Gambino crime family at the time. The same RICO statute that most mafia members are charged. In fact, Donald Trump is now being charged with that same RICO statute under the same prosecutor in the same county.
Wow.
Fulton County.
That's
Fonnie
crazy.
Willis. It's the first time it's being used that broadly, and it was used against Giuliani by Fonnie Willis.
Right.
And Giuliani was a pioneer. He's the one that took RICO and like a big toy, like a legal toy, said, hey, listen, this is a big umbrella. As long as somebody knows, if somebody's shot calling, right? If you were the shot caller of your company, if you know that other people are doing crimes and you look the other way, that could be part of RICO. because it's in furtherance of the criminal enterprise. You're making money and so forth. So you don't necessarily have to know that somebody's getting killed in order to be charged with murder, which is what Jeffrey Williams is being charged. He's being charged with attempted murder on count number 40. And he's being alleged to be Young Slime. That's his name, allegedly. And these are alleged charges, and I want everybody to know that I'm a criminal defense attorney and that everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So I'm only repeating what I've read, researched, and I'm giving you my opinion, Tony, from a criminal defense point of view, not from a political point of view. I may say things that are very politically incorrect. I'm just dissecting it from the microcosm and the vacuum of the indictment.
Okay, I've got questions.
Yes.
I read through the indictment.
Yes.
I saw a lot of charges in there, from attempted burglary to attempted usage of a illegal firearm to murder, to attempted murder,
Yes.
to conspiring to commit RICO
Yes.
actions. But are all of those charges going to land on every defendant's head, essentially, because of the RICO general umbrella? Does that mean that Jeffrey Williams, does that mean that Young Thug gets charged with all the crimes that those allegedly under him committed because of RICO?
The shorter answer is yes, if he had knowledge of it and he allowed it to happen. He assisted in it in one way or another through an overt act.
Right.
So to get into it, why are they charging Jeffrey Williams with murder? Because it's alleged that another rival gang member by the name of Donovan Big Nut Thomas Jr. Was killed with a car that Young Thug had orchestrated, if you believe the facts. And again, we're in the middle of trial right now, so I'm watching it and I'm just telling you what's going on. If you believe it and they prove it, they're basically saying that Young Thug rented a car and gave it to another rapper, Sergio Kitchens, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, was Gunna, who basically shot, I think it was Gunna. I'm sorry if I got the facts wrong, but I think it was Gunna. Well, anyway, one of the people in the car shot and killed him, and the point is I'm focusing on Young Thug, and Young Thug allegedly rented the car. So here's where I dissect this as a criminal defense attorney. I completely am for the First Amendment and not using lyrics against somebody. But here's the thing, as a criminal defense attorney, I believe if you're confessing, whether you're confessing in a painting, whether you're confessing in a poem, whether you're confessing in a rap song, if there's corroborating evidence that you killed somebody, of course they could use it.
So we're asking the question, is it okay for the criminal justice system to look at Young Thug's rap lyrics in assessing his guilt in this crime? This is a crazy question to me.
So here's the thing, Tony. I do gang cases. I've been doing gang cases for 20-something years, all right? They use Instagram accounts to prove that you're a gang member.
I saw him in the indictment. There were tons of social media pages with Young Thug posing,
Right.
with
Gunna and other associates, right?
yes, and throwing.
And Kenneth Copeland, who is allegedly, and by the way, Kenneth Copeland is testifying against him. That's Little Woody. He's the star witness. We'll get into that in a second.
We'll get into it, but I want to look
Yeah.
at some of the charges. You just brought up murder. That was involving a
murder.
vehicle.
Damon Williams.
They're not saying Young Thug himself pulled the trigger or killed anyone. They're saying he was part of a conspiracy to commit murder.
The same kind of conspiracy that Snoop Dogg was involved with years ago in the attempted murder case where his bodyguard shot and killed somebody. And he was being charged with gang charges the same way, except he won that case because it was actual self-defense.
Is the RICO stuff the same as the gang charges, or are they separate?
The RICO charge is basically establishing that your enterprise, your company, is a criminal company.
So is that a way for the prosecution to then enter the door of that business and prosecute everyone
That's
there?
right.
Okay.
So if you work for Walmart and Walmart is an illegal company, everybody in Walmart's going down.
So the way that they're trying to get at Young Thug is by saying you run a business that's an illegal business. It's a racketeering business.
And that's YSL, the record company that he started.
YSL is a racketeering business. It's engaged in acquiring and distributing illegal substances like I saw in there.
Methamphetamine, guns,
firearms.
robbery, smash and grab.
Robberies, crimes, in order to gain U.S. currency, as they put it in the indictment. So to make money.
Right.
And they're going to allege that Young Thug is the head of this criminal organization. In a sense, they're saying he's a mob boss.
They called him King Slime in the trial.
King Slime.
Yeah.
And part of the evidentiary assets that they have are lyrics that he wrote allegedly, and raps, which
Yeah.
essentially say, I'm a mob boss.
Yeah, like
Not exactly in those words.
yeah,
maybe.
like so. One of the rap songs he's talking about 16 days after the murder of Donovan Thomas. According to the indictment, he supposedly said in one of his songs, or in social media, excuse me, a video that was released on social media. He says supposedly during his rap lyrics on something called slime shit. Hey, this, that slime shit. Hey, YSL shit. Hey, killing 12 shit. Hey, fuck a jail shit.
Nigga, hey, did that slime shit. Hey, YSL shit. Hey, killing 12 shit. Hey, fuck a jail shit.
Hey, cooking white brick.
Hey, cooking white brick. Hey, hey,
The cool white bricks. I'm not new to this. Hey, I'm so true to this.
hey, I'm not new to this. Hey, I'm so true to this. Hey,
Hey, I'm done. Put a whole slime on 100 licks.
I done put a whole slime on 100 licks. Slime or get slime.
Slime or get slimed in the VIP, and I got that pistol on my hip.
In the Ville, and I got that pistol on my hip.
You praying that you live. I'm praying that I hit. Hey, that's slime shit.
You praying that you live, I'm praying that I hit. Hey, did that slime shit.
Fuck the police. Fuck them in a high speed.
But the police in a high speed.
So,
But somewhere in there,
fuck the judge. YSL. That is mob life.
For the jail, why I say all of that mob life.
that's interesting because you're trying to bring evidence that Young Thug is the head of a mob organization, a RICO violating organization, a criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
Can you bring in these lyrics where he says, YSL, that's the mob life. YSL, that's that mob shit.
So-
other places he raps about being the head of that as well. There's many, many, many quotes where he actually raps about being sitting at the top of this organization. We'll find them. But can you use that? That a lot of people are going, that's insane. How could we look at his lyrics?
Well, they use it against Snoop Dogg. And he actually changed his mind about using death in his rapping after that. He actually said, I don't want to use it, not because he actually said that he believed it promoted violence, that he promoted death. He wanted to promote positivity, which, by the way, in the Young Thug trial, they're saying that he promoted positivity. Pushin' P, the song Pushin' P, isn't about pushing pills, pushing drugs, it's pushing positivity. According to his lawyer, Brian Steele, Thug is not being a criminal. Thug is being truly humble under God. Yeah. So all of these things, by the way, brilliant lawyering. And if it's true, then shame on us for saying that. But if it's not true, brilliant lawyering because
I would ask, is there any prior instance of him or his crew mentioning the word thug and then saying truly humbled under God? Would he have rapped about it? Is it in a verse anywhere? Is it on a t-shirt?
I saw it on Wikipedia if it means anything. I looked under his AKA is truly humble or humble under God or something.
I'm curious if that phrase arrived after his prosecution began. I'm just curious.
Maybe the lawyers created that. Yeah, sure.
Here's some other troubling lyrics. If you're somebody who believes these lyrics should be admissible, I'm not saying I am, but if that's how we believe it should be, here's some troubling ones. I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body.
I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body.
I told him to shoot 100 rounds.
I told him to shoot 100 rounds, like he trying to move it about it.
Ready for war.
Like I'm in Russia.
Ready for war like I'm Russia.
I got all types of cash. I'm a general.
I got this pimpin' in the bag now, getting all type of cash. I'm a general true.
I was a capo in the hood way before a plaque or a mention. I'm at the top with bro though. Ooh, head honcho.
Nigga gon' hate on me, cause I'm at the top with Brodo. Ooh, head honcho, hold up, kicking your mundo, shoot with the fofo. Bow.
Is this incriminating evidence that Young Thug sits at the top of a mob organization and orchestrated all of the charges that follow in the indictment that other named defendants did? Murder, attempted murder, burglary, trafficking of illegal substances.
Yeah. So Johnny Cash wrote a song that he killed a man in Reno.
Killed a man in Reno.
You know that
just to watch him die.
Always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
And who was it that I shot the sheriff?
It was I who shot the sheriff.
but I didn't shoot no deputy.
Bob Marley?
Bob Marley.
Okay. Did they get arrested for those lyrics? No. But there's a big difference, okay? The big difference is there's no sheriff that was shot. The big difference is there was no man dead in Reno. If there was, they may have been able to use that confession, which happened to be
That's
a
interesting.
part of the song.
Right.
In this case, the prosecutor's saying that these lyrics are so uncanny to the facts of the matter. Let's let the jury decide whether or not it's a confession.
Right.
That's all the prosecutor's saying. So yes, it looks like from the outside we're using art to show that a crime is committed, or maybe to suppress art. Some people are saying that we're suppressing black art in a way and black culture. But it's not just black art and black culture. It's a homicide that happened. And if you're writing a poem about it, writing a letter about it, whether you're writing a song about it, if it's synonymous or if it's analogous to what happened, right, too close and uncanny, the prosecutor could use it. It's just not. It's like, Tony, when you went to law school, you learned that we have a freedom of speech, but you can't walk into a crowded theater and yell fire, right? There's limitations as to First Amendment.
I've heard the First Amendment brought up in the Young Thug case too, but I don't think it applies in any way, really. Like,
Well,
there's not a First Amendment challenge here.
They're actually trying to pass a Senate bill. They're trying to get a Senate bill to pass to say that they cannot use lyrics against people in criminal trials.
That would be sort of inhibiting the government's ability to get at the speech to prosecute
Right.
you. But nobody's saying he doesn't have the right to say these words. Nobody's stopping his speech, and
Nobody's stopping it.
and nobody's prosecuting him for his speech.
Right.
Therefore, I don't really see a First Amendment defense as even being necessary. The question is, are these song lyrics trustworthy as statements, as speech that he stated? Are they trustworthy to get at the fact of whether he's violated the laws? If he was caught on tape saying these things, right, we would all say, oh, okay, he meant this is true. If you make a deathbed confession, the law looks at it as a little more trustworthy. Like, you're maybe not going to lie right before you take your last breath.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, in our sort of value system, in the criminal justice system. So are rap lyrics a trustworthy thing to look at? Like, isn't there a lot of incentive to lie if you're writing rap lyrics?
Yeah, that's what Brian Steele
and
said.
incentive to embellish and to puff up the truth and to pound your chest and say, look how fucking badass I am. I mean, who tells the truth when they write rap lyrics? Eminem would be in prison for like 40 felonies.
Well, that's what Brian Steele said. He said that as a studio gangster. And by the way, that's a big insult to a studio rapper or studio gangster rapper is a big insult. It's like using the N-word to a rapper, because you're basically saying you're illegitimate, you're not real. And that's what Brian Steele said that Young Thug was during the trial. So he's insulting
His own defense attorney said that?
Yeah, his own defense attorney said he's basically a poser.
Right.
That it's not real.
Right.
That this is all a part of the image, is a part of his art.
And you're saying the prosecution said, let's let the lyrics go to the jury,
And let them decide. Right. Which is a, I don't know how I feel about it. From a criminal defense attorney, I want to block it. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want it coming against my client. And
It sounds bad.
It sounds bad, and it has, I think, somewhat of a chilling effect, a little bit of a chilling effect. But on the flip side, all due respect to whoever's rapping, why would you confess in your rap songs, or why would you use words that are so close to what may have happened? And, it's like a web, Tony. If there's a web, why are you throwing yourself on the web with the words? And he rented a car allegedly that killed this guy and now is rapping about it? You think that's smart?
If a metal band, if Slipknot were on trial and somebody went and looked at their, I love Slipknot, but somebody went and looked at their lyrics and there was a lot of gore and death and whatever crazy dark material.
Slayer has that. Slayer has dark material. Yeah.
Imagine using that against those band members.
If in the song he happened to kill an old man on the road because he was upset, and if he's singing about it and there's an old man on the road that was killed.
So if there's facts on the ground that
corroborating
somehow
evidence
corroborate the actual lyrics.
Yes.
They sort of take the lyrics out of the realm of makeup, art, and fiction, and they bring them and say, no, this is real.
Well,
biographical.
They let the jury decide if it's real or if it's art. The problem is Brian Steele, his attorney, doesn't want it to come in, obviously, because it's too close to the facts of what happened. And frankly, it could be that Young Thug maybe is, there's a saying that, sometimes life imitates art, art imitates life. Maybe he was, making this up. Maybe he was near the area where it happened, but maybe he wasn't involved. But I still think it's not smart for a rapper to start rapping about crimes because it puts you, as a target, in my opinion.
And in this case, the allegations include a claim that YSL and Young Thug's crew are affiliated with the Bloods street gang.
Yeah, the Bloods. That's right.
So I saw in the indictment some Instagram posts of various crew members wearing a red bandana,
right,
throwing up a YSL gang sign.
And that's why they're...
Is it a gang sign? I don't know. Maybe they're a musical group. Give them the benefit of the doubt.
And that's why they're Bleveland, by the way, not Cleveland.
Because it's Blood Cleveland,
right, Blood
Cleveland.
Yeah.
So there's all these little Easter eggs and innuendos of ways that they may be linking themselves to the Bloods.
To the Rolling 60s Blood. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, not the Rolling 60s, the Bloods. Yes.
And are we okay with the court, the criminal justice system, using evidence such as Instagram posts of a guy wearing a red bandana, Instagram posts of a guy holding up his fingers like a Y, indicating YSL?
If it's an incriminatory statement, right? If I'm giving you an example. I'm making this up, but let's just say somebody's dead, right? And I go on Instagram and I show a gun and I know that I didn't kill this person, but I'm bragging about killing this person. What do you think is going to happen to me? I'm going to get investigated.
You're flirting with the law.
Of course I am. So first of all, it's not smart for a rapper to start making things up that are too close to facts around his neighborhood, all right? Because then it opens up, an investigation.
Haven't rappers been doing that since the 90s, since gangster rap, Ice Cube, leading up through Dre?
What happened when...
Easy, all the way to Eminem.
Yeah, but what happened when Snoop Dogg was... what happened when Snoop Dogg was taken to trial? And he changed it. He hasn't rapped about death. He hasn't rapped. He's been rapping about happy music ever since that trial. Did you notice he went completely mainstream?
No.
After that? I mean, he was rapping about streets and dealing drugs and all that, and now it's...
So the question is if it's too close to the reality, but I mean, as an artist growing up in the hood, you probably are reflecting your surroundings. I mean, we hear a lot of artists say that.
And that's what Brian Seal is saying. There's basically, he's...
So if you're seeing members of the Blood Gang hanging around, they're in your living room, they're in the backyard barbecue party, they're at the park at the get-together, they're at the bodega on the side of the road. Do you then rap about what you see, the characters you see, the people you see, the groups that you hang out with? Do we take it from there to tying you into the head of a RICO prosecution, tying you into the head of a criminal organization that committed all these things? I get what you're saying. If the facts on the ground are close enough to what he's rapping about, let the jury see that and say, dude, he basically rapped about that exact crime and then that crime happened or vice versa. So is that what we're talking about?
If I was a prosecutor, I'd say if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, you answer me, what is it? And then I'd say, you know what Jeffrey Williams was doing? He has a picture on social media wearing a YSL pendant with his index finger wiping his nose. A gang expert's going to tell you that's a sign for YSL, that somebody's in a YSL gang.
What does the wiping the nose have to do with it?
It's a sign that you're in YSL.
So literally doing this?
Yes.
This is sort of a hand gesture that indicates...
Yes. And they're going to also say that he's hanging out with these other gang members. He bailed out gang members, allegedly. He's flashing a blood sign, according to a video that they got on his social media. So look, here's the thing I'm going to tell you people, whoever's listening to this podcast, okay? It's not that hard for somebody to become a gang member. It really isn't. I could become a gang member right now.
In the eyes of the law.
I'm going to tell you how RJ Manuelian could become a gang member. And I always say this to my clients. It's so easy. All I got to do is, Tony, go to a party, all right, where my clients, right after I get a not guilty verdict, my client invites me over to a party at their house, right? And they're hanging out. I'm in my suit and tie, and a rival gang member comes in and disrespects me in front of my client and says, you know what, you're a punk, your lawyer's a punk, and all this stuff. And the gang member says, don't talk about my lawyer like that. Don't talk about me like that. I'll kick your fucking ass. Right?
So that's a threat to assault or something like that.
Right, hold on. So now the guy starts talking shit about me again, and he looks at me and he wants to see whether or not I give him the green light, and I give him a little nod. Now my client goes and kicks the fucking shit out of him. Guess what? I could be charged with a gang charge.
You're affiliated in the gang.
Because now what I've done is these are the elements of the crime. In furtherance of, in association of, and for the benefit of. Have I done something in association of? Yes, I'm associating with this person. That's element number one. Have I done something in furtherance of and for the benefit of. Those are the elements. So those are the elements of the YSL case. If Young Thug meets the same elements as I told you, then he could be found guilty as a gang member. And there's a lot of evidence in the indictment that I see. So I think Young Thug's in trouble.
It sounds like he's in trouble.
Yes.
Given this RICO prosecution, the big umbrella way in which they come after the entire organization, they tie all of the individuals together in one conspiratorial web, essentially. Right. Now, does that mean that all of those crimes in the indictment flow all the way up to him potentially?
Yes, because they're saying that he is the king slime. And by the way, here's one way that I think that a Young Thug or Jeffrey Williams has a shot of winning. See, this is all a part of a web, right? They're putting the web together. But the key to the web is the snitch. And the snitch is Kenneth Copeland, who's Little Woody, right? Little Woody is the one that killed Donovan Thomas. He shot and killed him. So now it's flipping on Young Thug. So check this out. So the killer of Young Thomas is not being prosecuted to the same extent as Young Thug.
Was he given a deal?
Of course he was.
Tell us about the deal. This is where the plea deals get real sus,
right. I don't know the details of the plea deal, but I ask you a question. Is Fonnie Willis, the district attorney for Fulton County, prosecuting Young Thug more for justice or political ambition? Because if the killer himself is not being charged to the fullest extent, the shooter is not, why are they using millions of extra dollars in Fulton County to go after the rapper that may or may not have been there? Do you see what I'm saying?
Is it a high profile get for her?
Of course.
She's going after Trump, and now she's going after Young Thug. So super high profile. She's on the cover of every mainstream newspaper.
And you know what's strange, Tony? You know where I think there's, and I mean this respectfully to the prosecutor, and I'm not trying to disrespect her, but I think there's hypocrisy on Fonnie Willis's part. Because I don't know if a lot of people know. She defended YSL. Let me repeat. She defended a gang member from YSL. In fact, if you Google that, you'll see that the gang member said, or the client said, that she told him that he better be a good boy because she's going to run for prosecution. And if he's not a good boy, it's going to hurt her chances. And she would basically whip his ass. So I think she's going way too hard. Is it possible to convict? You know, there's a saying, Tony, a good prosecutor could convince the jury that a criminal is guilty, but a great prosecutor could convince an innocent person, the jury, that an innocent person is guilty.
Oh.
So you could take any prosecutor, and I think you can make Young Thug guilty. The question is, why are we doing that? I mean,
like, is he an artist that's just hanging around? He's super creative. He's got these like interesting approaches to music,
or is he John Gotti and hiding in sheep's clothing? Is he a wolf hiding in sheep's clothing? Because that's what the prosecution is saying. We don't know. All of the people that discovered him as producers, the people that this is a nice guy. He's donated money, a philanthropist. But the thing is this: here's the error in the case, and I think this is what's going to sink Young Thug. So Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, is relying on the fact that Young Thug's got a lot of money. He doesn't need money. He kept saying the whole trial, he doesn't need money. What? This is just nonsense. This whole thing doesn't make sense. But here's the thing. When you're in a gang, it's not always just about money. What else is it about? Two things. Name it to me, Tony.
I mean, maybe loyalty.
More power. Power and respect. Money, power, and respect. And let me tell you something. Sometimes money doesn't matter at all in these things. People will give up money for power and respect. So when he's telling the jury Young Thug doesn't need money, I would tell him as a prosecutor, it's not about the money, it's about the power and the respect. And Young Thug commands a lot of power and a lot of respect. He is King Slime. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I know that when they're coming after him, they want to tie him to the organization. And one of the main ways is that it's a business, a corrupt business, and that it makes money in corrupt ways.
Right.
So I could see the counter argument. He doesn't need the money. He's not motivated to tie himself to that organization for the money. You're saying, well, potentially it's not the money, it's other things like respect, power.
Right.
But part of the evidence is the lyrics that tie him in. But another big part of the evidence seems to be all these other confessions that his co-defendants have already made.
Right.
Like some of them have come out and said, yes, we did commit these crimes. Yes, we are a criminal organization.
Right. YSL criminal organization.
YSL is what you're alleging it to be.
Right. They snitched.
The suspicious part of that is that they got some pretty sweet deals in exchange for saying what they said.
Yes.
Like Gunna entered an Alford plea, which says that
And by the way, Gunno is Sergio Kitchens. He was discovered by Young Thug.
yeah, so it's kind of a plea that says, yes, I may be found guilty of these if it goes to trial, but I'm maintaining my innocence.
Right.
Kind of having his cake and eating it too.
Right.
I thought one particularly damning confession might have been co-founder of YSL, Walter Murphy, who pleaded to guilty to one count and was sentenced to 10 years. I believe it was one count of a RICO violation of some sort. Sentenced to 10 years. That 10 years of prison time was commuted to 1 year served and 9 years probation.
Right.
So we'll keep you out of jail if you give us this dirt on Young Thug. That seems pretty suspicious.
Yeah.
And various other plea deals were made and defendants kept out of prison or had vastly commuted sentences.
Right.
Which are now part of the evidentiary record against Young Thug. It makes it harder for, does that make it more clear that he's a mob boss or more clear that the government's just going after him hard?
It depends on the jury demographic. My understanding is you have 9 African-American jurors on that jury, okay? And it depends on which way they see it, which colored pair of glasses are they looking at Mr. Williams with? Are they looking at him like a young man from one of the zones in Cleveland, Zone 4 or Buckhead, where he was from, that came up from nowhere, and the government is just suppressing this artist, and the government is the big bad guy, and this is a good guy that's basically like a Nipsey Hussle in a way. I think that's the way they want to portray him in the trial. Is he a Nipsey Hussle that's being portrayed as a criminal, or is he really, like I said before, somebody that's running a John Gotti that's running a music enterprise that's not really doing it for the fame, that's not doing it for the money, but for the first time are we seeing a rapper that wants to be a criminal that's doing it exclusively for the power and the respect. That's never happened in music history before. Not that I can remember. Somebody that says, I don't care about the money. I just want to rule everybody. Maybe Suge Knight.
I was
the
thinking,
closest.
was Suge Knight
Suge Knight
ever-
was pretty damn close.
Was he accused of being the head of a certain
Suge Knight-
organization
that's-
similar to RICO
yes,
prosecution?
Yes, actually, Death Row was the closest. Thank you, Tony. Death Row was the closest. Death Row records that they tied to the Bloods. The difference is this. The difference is in Death Row, they had different types of rappers. They gave a pass to like Snoop Dogg, who was a Crip, and so forth. But YSL is just YSL. When you go YSL, they're showing all these people with the YSL on their head, tattoos, the slime, the colors. They even have colors, the green and the black or the red or one of those colors. I mean, you're invested in YSL used to be Rock, ROC before, and then they converted. And I think what happened was Mr. Williams allegedly decided to start this YSL record company, and he, what's his name? The Sergio Kitchens, Gunna. He discovered Gunna and these other people, and they're saying, yeah, that's all great, but you guys are just criminals that are rapping, and that's illegal. So it's interesting to me. I don't know what to make of it, but I'll tell you, if they lose this case, Tony, it's going to have somewhat of a chilling effect
On rap lyrics?
I think so.
Or are rappers just going to say, look, I can write the craziest shit. I can talk about killing people. I can talk about kidnapping people. I can talk about taking illegal substances across state lines. But there can't really be any facts on the ground that corroborate that.
True. But the
But
problem
is that too risky as an artist to sit there and write, and where you're like, I'm surrounded by people that might break a law, and then I'm going to get pulled into it in some kind of an association?
Well, here's
An organization.
So here's the beauty about all of this. I don't think anybody that's listening to this podcast has to worry about our First Amendment rights, and I'll tell you why. Because our beautiful judicial system, the temple of justice that we have, has a filter for this, and the filter is called court hearings, and a judge doesn't automatically let it come in. There's a hearing on it, and then you go through what they call a balancing test. The probative balance has to outweigh the prejudicial effect.
Of the lyric in question?
Right. So if the probative value of the lyric outweighs the prejudicial effect, which is the chillingness of the speech, it's admissible. So they have to do a balancing test. Now I know you're going to say, well, what happens if a judge screws up and allows it to come in? We have appellate court. So there are gears in our system. I don't want people to think, oh my Lord, if this happens, it's all over. We can't rap. No, you can rap. You could talk about shooting and killing and stabbing, but just make sure the killing, the shooting, the stabbing isn't anywhere near you or connected to you. Because if it is, it's going to look pretty damn suspicious.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Do we know what the facts were that are corroborating here?
Yeah.
Do we know some specific facts on the ground?
Oh,
that
on the Damon? I just said it. The Damon Williams murder. He actually rapped about it. About 16 days after he came out and he said something about it.
Do we have those lyrics?
Yeah, I have it here.
I shot at his mommy. No, he longer mentioned me. Is it that?
I think so. I think that's it.
Is it, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, no, this is it. So the lyric is, lie to their mama, lie to their kids, lie to their brothers and sisters, then get right into the courtroom and tell the God's honest truth. Don't get you all need to get fucking killed, bro, from me and YSL. So that's 16 days after he says that. Now, an argument could be, there was a video released on social media 16 days after. So we don't know when that video was done, number one. Number two, they're trying to connect all of this through the killer of Donovan, who is Kenneth Copeland. So I ask you, Tony, how much credence are you going to give this guy, the shooter, the killer, that's going to come tell you, oh, by the way, I shot and killed him? But it was Young Thug was the mastermind at the whole time.
And then what?
He got me the Infinity. He rented the 2013 Infinity.
And then what? Does he get out of jail for the rest of his life and he's on probation? Because that would be super suspicious.
He's going to do time, but obviously the big grunt of it is going to be by Young Thug, who's going to be the grand prize. He's the big deer in the forest, okay?
So would I ask myself if that shooter is lying about Young Thug? I would say, yeah, he's probably incentivized to lie.
Of course, I think so.
If he's being given a sweetheart deal by the prosecution.
I think so. He has no reason not to lie. But on the flip side, so that's why I think the society's upset. I think society's upset because you got a guy who could be a snitch combined with the fact that you're bringing in the lyrics to put this artist away. That pisses people off. If you had something solid, I don't think people would have been pissed off. For example, if you had an eyewitness, supposedly they do, by the way. They have eyewitnesses supposedly that saw Young Thug at the scene of the location. That's a different story. But if they don't have that and they have Kenneth Copeland and only a snitch, and they're combining the lyrics, as a defense attorney, I don't think that's fair.
Let's look at some more lyrics. We be on some Tupac shit. Hit 'em up. N-word. Play with unfunk and get hogtied. N-word. Play with unfunk. And then they all die. Why would I lie? I got mob ties. Knocking off you big homie. Be something. I don't know what. That's Jeffrey Young Thug Williams. It's so surreal to me to be looking at rap lyrics and actually trying to think of them as real. It's crazy. But I get it if there's facts on the ground that tie it to reality. That one murder you brought up. Okay, that's some facts. What about the other charges like armed robbery or having firearms or possession of narcotics or intent to distribute? Where do they come up with the intent to distribute?
Well, I think when they did a search at his house after, they found a whole bunch of guns and drugs and things like that at the house. But he's got 11,000 square foot house and he's got people over there all the time. So I think he could explain that one. Like anybody could have brought that.
So
stuff.
What's the worst evidence against him in your mind?
Kenneth Copeland, the snitch, Lil Woody. That's everything. In fact,
the guy who pulled the trigger.
Yes, the guy that pulled the trigger. Because if they believe him, then Young Thug, his boat is sunk. In my opinion, if they believe him. But that's a big if.
If they believe that he's the head of this organization.
Yeah.
And here's another lyric. Come and enroll to the YSL school, and I swear I am the principal, Slime.
Right. Well,
she's pointing at these lyrics, specifically in the indictment, I think, to say he is the head guy.
Right. They're trying to say that he's the head guy. He's running everything, that he is the mastermind for all the drugs and the slinging. And if you watch the videos, have you seen the videos, Tony?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know there's a lot of videos with, I don't know if they're real guns or fake guns.
I've seen that for decades.
Okay, but here's the
rap videos.
Here's the difference. The difference is these lyrics are allegedly threatening other gang members. So they're saying it's a method of communication, that they're using social media to intimidate other gang members. And that's something new that I have not seen as a criminal defense attorney. There's something brand new that they're basically saying you're using Instagram, YouTube, or whatever as a platform to promote and disseminate gang information. So that's why
to intimidate witnesses potentially.
That's one of the charges, by the way, that Jeffrey Williams was intimidating a witness. They contacted one of the family members allegedly, and they tried to tell him that it wouldn't be a good idea for them to testify against Kitchens and Williams and so forth.
There's another lyric here. Gave the lawyer close to $2 million. He handles all the killings. We don't speak about shit on wax. It's all mob business.
And again,
Except they did speak about it on wax.
Right. That's all fine. Here's another example I could say. So, all right, here's a crazy example. Let's just say the president was shot and killed, right? Let's just say Biden is killed, God forbid, tomorrow. If somebody starts rapping about the lyrics, or I write a song about it, I took a gun and I went down and I saw him behind the bar and I took a shot.
You're saying after it happened?
Yeah, after it happened. And the lyrics are identical to what happened. And there's some information on the lyrics that nobody else could have known about had it not been for the shooter. Of course, they could use my song to say, how the F did you know all this stuff?
Yeah, if the lyric uncovers a certain fact that gives it away,
Right.
Like you wouldn't have known that unless you were there, RJ. How did you know that there was a red ball near the corner of the room?
And
you have to be the killer.
correct. And
that makes perfect sense.
And you can't hide behind your lyrics. That's
we don't have that here in the case of Young Thug.
Well, you have Donovan that's dead, and you have a car that was rented according to Copeland.
Yeah.
That was used. And by the way, the car was rented. So, Young Thug could say, so what?
He's probably renting cars for his crew all day long.
Absolutely. He could say, I didn't know what the hell that stupid guy was doing. But on the flip side, you have all these little lyrics, and then you have Kenneth Copeland. So it's the pieces of the puzzle that the jury has to put together. The totality.
I haven't seen a lyric yet that has put the red ball in the corner of the room. I haven't seen a lyric where you're like, how would you know that if you're not the person behind it all?
Well, what about
a lot of it is bluster. A lot of it is like, tell me. I mean, which one? Like,
the only thing
I rep life for real for slimes. I kill. Okay.
I don't care about that. The only one I care about as a criminal defense attorney.
By the way, he there was one. Don't lose what you were about to say. Yeah. But there was an interesting lyric he had, which said like something like, I'm red like Elmo, but I don't giggle. That's in the indictment. I'm red like Elmo. Maybe I'm misquoting that, but that's the essence of it. But I don't giggle or whatever. That's trying to tie him to the Bloods gang. That lyric is in the indictment to bring him in and among other evidence to tie him to the Bloods, to bring in this conspiracy organization charge.
So after Damon Williams, and if I'm mistaken, he appeared in a song called Slatty, and an associate at YSL. So he was an associate at the time, allegedly. And he said something to the effect of, and I think is referring to, and again, I apologize, I'm wrong on this. I think it's Damon Williams. I'm sorry, Damon, what did I say his name was? I think it was Damon Williams. No, I mean, Jeffrey Williams was accused of killing Damon. I forgot the guy's name. Anyway, the person is accused of killing. He said something to the effect of, I killed his man in front of his mama, like fuck little bro, sister, and his cousin. I'll shoot out, kill him, not leaving a trace. You think you're gangster because you got a pistol? Look at my trigger. My triggers start itching. So, is this enough for the jury to say, look, you must be the King Slime running the entire organization? It'll be the first time. It's never happened before in rap in my database in my brain. I've never seen an artist go down for running a criminal enterprise. That's basically saying that you're not an artist. This whole time you were a criminal hiding as an artist. That's never happened that I can remember.
So the question is the prosecutor extra ambitious here, extra excited after the fame, caught a big fish alongside her Trump prosecution too? Or is this guy really the head of this criminal organization? I mean, what is your gut say?
Maybe it's both.
What's likely to happen to him?
I think, well, it depends on the way Kenneth Copeland comes across. It's all up to the star witness in this case. If Kenneth Copeland gets disseminated, then it's over. Then they might think that Fonnie Willis may have stretched a little bit.
Disseminated? What do you mean?
I mean, killed him on the cross, just making him out to be a liar.
Gotcha.
For example,
in cross-examination.
Do you know what kind of deal you're going to get? No, I don't know what kind of deal I'm going to get. You're hoping that you don't get a lot of time, right, Mr. Copeland? Yes, I'm hoping that I don't get a lot of time. In fact, you don't want to go to prison, do you? No, I don't want to go to prison. And is going to say, you talked to the police for 3 hours, right, Mr. Copeland? Yes, I did. And you kept saying over and over again, hey, I want to give you info and intel and so forth. Okay. And by the way, Tony, I watched that whole freaking 3-hour video of Kenneth Copeland snitching on everybody and their mother. This guy was eager to tell people about murders that happened. In the middle of the interview, he said, by the way, somebody tonight's going to get killed.
Okay.
If I was a criminal defense attorney, I'd call him on that bluff and say, Mr. Copeland, isn't it true that in the middle of this interview, you were trying to, curry favor with the police? No, I wasn't trying to curry favor. Oh, no, you weren't? Weren't you telling them that you knew a murder was going to go down and that you wanted information, you wanted to be released? No, I don't remember that. If he says he doesn't remember that, you play it. If he says he does remember that, be like, oh yeah, the guy's name was Skell, right? You said his name was something Skell? Yeah. Whatever happened to Skell? Is he dead? I don't know. because it never happened, did it, sir? No, you lied to the police, didn't you, sir? No, that's not true. And then you build that. You attack him and say...
You attack his credibility.
You attack his credibility. You made the whole thing up. You've been trying to peg anything on anybody, including a murder that never happened. And Young Thug, now you're going after Young Thug because of your mistake. And by the way, I would tell Kenneth Copeland, if you want to go toe-to-toe with him, Kenneth Copeland, you don't want your girlfriend, Aaliyah Jackson, to go to jail. He's going to say, no, I don't. Who's Aaliyah Jackson? She got pulled over with the snitch, Kenneth Copeland. She was a cop. Tony, she's a cop dating a YSL member, right?
Yep.
She starts deleting all his shit on his Instagram to try to save her boyfriend.
Whoa.
She gets thrown out of the police department.
Okay.
He feels bad for her. He tells her during the interview, says, I'll do anything. I don't want that girl. He apparently loves her for love, right? He's like, I don't want her to go to jail. This is not her fault. This is my business. Tell me what I got to do. And for 3 hours, Kenneth Copeland is trying to strike a deal, mentioning murders that he knows, mentioning shit that's going to go down. I mean, he was being very aloof about it with the facts and kind of playing games. But RJ Manuelian would fucking destroy him.
He was singing.
Singing. He was composing. He was composing. Not just, he was making music up. Okay. And that's how you kill him. If you kill Kenneth Copeland, you win the Young Thug.
So we're Steelmaning the defense's case now. This is good. Can we continue? Can we give it all you got?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the lyrics are just lyrics. He's a rapper.
Well, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen.
Every rapper bullshits about what they do and how they, I mean, they embellish. They're artists.
How about if it did go down and Young Thug heard about it and he decided to rap about it and make it close to him, but not really him. Maybe he is a studio gangster. Maybe he wants to be that.
But
right?
clearly we're still continuing to Steelman here. He's artistic minded.
Right.
You can see that he's won Grammys. He's won like Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
He's got top selling records. He debuted with a #1 record, I believe.
Yeah.
He is clearly doing things differently, creative minded. He's not some throwaway, disposable, derivative act. Not that that's a crime.
Yeah.
But the brain in this kid. Can I say kid? He's not even 30 yet, right? The brain in this artist is creative. It's nuanced. It's innovative. He's doing new things.
Is that the test?
Well, to
Because
me,
if that's a test, then we got to use that against R. Kelly and Michael Jackson.
it's not the test. It's not the test. I just wonder if it's the same type of brain that leads a conspiracy-filled RICO organization like a crime boss.
Hold on.
Maybe it is.
Hold on. Let's understand.
But let's still Steelman his case that he didn't do.
Let's understand his background. So let me play. I'll defend him in a second. But on the flip side, understand something. He comes from a background where he does not respect police. He has said
We're
that in his
gonna go
lyrics.
there. We're gonna
He
Steelman
does not-
the other side.
And there's a good reason why he doesn't respect the police, because I know, based on my experience as a criminal defense attorney, not as a white boy, okay? As a criminal defense attorney, I've defended people that have been fucked by the police, and most of them have been minorities, African American. So I get where he's from. He's from an area where the police will come and fuck with you, right?
Yes.
I understand that. So he doesn't trust the police at all.
Yes.
Now let's start from that point. He's not really well educated. He can't read. He can't write. All right. He's admitted this.
I've
right?
heard this about him.
So what does somebody that's not educated and they can't read and write do from an indigent neighbor? You have two options. All right. You could either sling drugs, you could rap, or you could be an athlete, right? Those are the three options.
Yep.
So he's not an athlete. He wasn't, they're claiming he's slinging drugs.
Yeah.
And is an artist. So they're claiming he's doing a hybrid. For the first time, they're saying he's got a hybrid formula where, yes, he's a rapper, but is also a drug dealer. Kind of like Manuel Noriega is a leader of Panama, but is also a drug dealer.
We know other famous rappers.
Rogue actor.
Many, many famous rappers have admitted to having been drug dealers before they made it big.
Sure.
So that's happened before.
Sure.
That's not hard to
I
believe.
think 50 Cent said that, right? He was dealing.
There's many I could think of.
Snoop Dogg.
I've heard Jay-Z say it. I've heard P. Diddy say
yeah,
it. I've heard a lot of people
I think
say it.
Biggie Smalls, everybody.
So that's something that seems plausible if you're
Sure.
in that community and you need to get out, but you haven't yet made it as a rapper.
Right.
And you're slanging drugs just to make some money to get by.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible that he could be both.
You mean impossible that he could be both a criminal and a
an
rapper?
and an amazing artist. So
Well, I'm saying that because of the background that he was molded in. It wouldn't be shocking if somebody said, "Did you know that he's slinging drugs and his rapping and his green lighting?"
it wouldn't
murders?"
be shocking.
It wouldn't be shocking.
Let's keep defending him for a sec.
But I'll keep defending him.
Let's
yeah.
keep defending him. Let's Steelman that case.
Yeah.
He's not the head of this organization. He's an artist. He's in amongst these things.
Yes.
He may even be associated with the Bloods. because some of them are his friends or
Right.
cousins or uncles or
I would
whatever.
say he's a Nipsey Hussle. I would have thrown that in there. He's another Nipsey Hussle.
Now, just because
Nipsey Hussle was in the gang also.
just because you hang around with gang members, are you in the gang? Let's try to Steelman.
That's not enough.
Let's say he's not in the gang.
Right. Well, there's 3 elements. Let's go over it. Association, furtherance, and for the benefit. So association is not enough. If I'm hanging out with you and flipping chicken on barbecue, that's not enough.
So what has he done in furtherance and for the benefit of the organization? Simply rapping rap lyrics or not? Has he given commands from the top as a
According to
head honcho?
According to Kenneth Copeland, yes. He said everything was ordered by him. Everything goes through him. But that's Kenneth Copeland. He's saying he is the shot caller. So yeah, for years.
So there's one sort of bit of evidence, which is the killer actually who's claiming
Little Woody, yeah.
Little Woody.
Yep.
So continuing to Steelman him. Anything else we have in his favor?
Favor.
In his favor before we turn it
yes,
around.
of
Before we
course.
turn it around and
His
prosecute.
character is everything. I mean, he's already had people come, executives, producers. Corey Jackson, who was an individual that came and said, essentially turned his life around. He donated money, and they said something about Young Slime Life, and he turned around and said, no, he told me it was Young Solo Life and some other young.
I've heard Young Stoner
Young
Life.
Soul Life or something. But the point is, if they get one person that's not satisfied, let's just say it's like eating some food. And if they want to say this food is amazing and I have to pay them a lot of money, and if I don't think it's amazing, I'm not going to pay the lot of money. I'm going to walk out of the restaurant and I'm done. I'm not satisfied. So the way I would sell it to the jury is, are you satisfied with this evidence? Are you going to send this young man who's successful, who made it out of nowhere? Okay, the odds are 1 in a billion, maybe 1 in 100 million. You're going to put him in jail because coincidentally, the things that he rapped about happened, and a snitch is saying that is a shot caller. That's why you're going to put him in jail, because of those 2 elements? Because that, to me, is very thinly veiled, in my opinion.
Would there have been, continuing here, would there have been other evidence that we should find if he truly is a shot caller?
Yeah, he's thrown. Well,
I don't know, invoices, ledgers.
They don't keep invoices. They
In
don't
the
keep
mob movies, it's a ledger that brings the big guy
Nah,
down.
well,
You know,
that
what-
happened. Now, you're not supposed to keep writing. You're not supposed to keep ledgers.
What would it be? A recorded phone call?
Conversations?
Can't you go in and record things under RICO statutes?
Social media. Social media is everything. They got him throwing a gang sign, YSL. They got
Okay,
him
but if
wiping
you're-
his nose. They got him saying that something about from lockdown to jet slat biz while he's on the phone with a guy that's from YSL in the jail. He's calling him and they're throwing gang signs. So look, like
all of that is consistent with being a foot soldier as well.
But hold on.
And being an unaffiliated buddy.
But the problem is, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, the jury could think it's a duck.
But you have to convince 12 people from that exact community, right? Are these
Yes.
people who live near these
that's
allegations?
See, that's the trick. The trick to predicting a case is to knowing the jury, and I just don't know the jury, so it could be a wild card. But I know there are 9 African American jurors, and they're going to feel somewhat sympathetic because the odds of you coming out of one of those zones in Atlanta are slim to none. And the fact that this guy's a nice guy is going to be on their shoulders.
And a world-class artist. I mean, a critically acclaimed creative
He's not Suge
mind.
Knight. If he was Suge Knight, I'd say he was toast because his reputation would precede him. But the reputation of Jeffrey Williams is that he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, and he has that superpower of being able to create music which touches people. And who knows if he's touched through his music at least just one of these 12 people deeply, deeply
Well,
touched.
some of it,
You know how you love an artist when they touch you deeply?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I've listened to some of his videos, Slime Life, Slatty, and all that, all these songs that he's got. Take It to Trial. I've listened to all that stuff. So there are violent and negative lyrics in there. I mean, it's very, very controversial. I'm not saying that there's not an audience for it.
That's the genre.
Agreed.
That's the genre.
It's not, I'm an old man now. I don't listen to that stuff.
But I mean, you heard that shit 30, 40 years ago and it was the same.
I did. And, maybe I was old then too. But the bottom line is that what happened is rap has elevated. Think about Run DMC. Come on. You're telling me Run DMC was talking about
Rap
shooting?
has evolved over the decades.
Of course it has. So what I'm saying is now the law is putting a red line in rap. They're saying, okay, you could rap, but make sure you're not confessing in your rap lyrics, because if you are, it's all fair game.
That makes sense to me. It's almost like nothing new. It's like saying you can paint a painting. Just make sure you don't write a confession in the middle of it of a crime you actually did. Or, you know what I mean?
nothing-
You could take an artistic photo, but don't take it of the actual crime that you just committed and say that it's protected as free speech somehow as, as a work of art. You just documented a crime. So,
That's right.
So I would say, yeah, if you're using your art to document material facts relating to a crime, but Steelmaning Young Thug's case, it seems like it's a little bit loose still.
I think
the
so.
lyrics and the connection to the facts on the ground, and all of his character helps to benefit him. His creative genius helps to benefit him. A little bit of his innovative gender bendery fashion stuff. I think he did a Calvin Klein campaign or some kind of I can't remember if it was Vogue or whatever. I could be wrong. He did some big fashion campaigns. Did he endear at least one of those 12 jurors to not convict him and he'll get off? So I think we've Steelmanned it. Should we take the other side just to close out?
Hold on. There's more to it, though.
There's more to Steelmanning?
Yeah. So, here's a maybe not Steelmanning, but here's a couple of issues that I see. Number one, the lyrics aren't the trial. The media, it's very sexy to say lyrics are on trial, but that's not what's on trial. That's what the media is saying is on trial. Let's clarify this.
No.
And it looks bad optically, but you don't need the lyrics to prove that Young Thug or Jeffrey Williams is guilty.
Okay.
The lyrics are the cream on the cake. Think of it like that. It's the frosting on the cake. You don't need it.
They seem to be some kind of pretty important connective tissue connecting him to this conspiracy, though.
Yeah, only because...
And putting him at the head of it.
Only because if Kenneth Copeland testifies, all you have is a snitch. So obviously that's not a lot of evidence right there.
Other than lyrics, how do you put him at the top of this organization? How?
Through Kenneth Copeland.
But that's just the one snitch.
That if the snitch
if we don't believe him...
Well, you ever heard of Sammy Gravano?
Yes.
What happened to John Gotti after Sammy Gravano testified?
He went to jail.
And Kenneth Copeland is Young Thug Sammy Gravano. If they believe Little Woody, he goes down like John Gotti. If they don't believe him, he walks.
So you think without the lyrics, there's still this pretty good case against him based on this one witness or this one co-defendant who's going to be given some kind of a deal. We don't know what that is.
Always tell all of my clients that you could go down no matter what kind of deal, what kind of liar they are. Remember, Sammy Gravano killed 19 people. The jury knew that. They knew he was a liar. They knew he killed 19 people, but yet they found John Gotti guilty. Right?
So what he said about John Gotti came across as credible.
100% credible. And the jury was interviewed. They said, yeah, the guy was a scumbag, but we believed him. Everything made sense. They could think the same of Kenneth Copeland. They could think as a scumbag. They could think that he shot and killed Donovan Thomas. Oh, that was his name. Sorry, I forgot. It just came back to me.
That's the victim of the crime.
Yeah. He just came back to me right now, man.
But it's not like Young Thug mentioned Jonathan Thomas by name.
You know what? He did apparently in the video. According to Kenneth Copeland, he said he was obsessed with getting this guy and insinuating that it was Williams. Donovan. What did I say his last name was? I forgot it again.
Johnson?
I forgot. So Donovan. So he said it, that he was obsessed. So no, Kenneth Copeland told him that he wanted him killed. And then right after he was killed, they're going to use the social media account showing that he basically rapped and bragged about him getting killed. Does that make sense?
It does.
So they're going to use that to weave this, web, put the pieces of the puzzle together.
And what is that witness exactly saying, or that co-defendant? He's committed the killing. He's admitted to killing the killing.
He went around to everybody, according to video, telling them that this guy was really bothering him, that he was disrespecting him, and he wanted him gone.
But what is the killer saying about Young Thug? What is
he
his
wanted
testimony?
him gone. He was obsessed. He used the words "quote unquote" obsessed. He's obsessed with this guy.
And is he placing Young Thug at the top of this organization? Is he saying he's the one who calls the shot?
Yes, he's the shot caller. And what's interesting? He says, I don't know if I'm believing Kenneth Copeland. I don't know if he's a pathological liar. But during the whole thing, he keeps saying, I like him. I care about him, Young Thug. Because the cop kept saying, he doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't care. So why don't you tell us what you know? He's like, yeah, but I care about him. He kept saying, yeah, but I care about him. That actually may come across worse for the defense because in my mind, it looked like he was really reluctant to do it. In the video, he said the only reason he wanted to come clean is because he got shot at, his sister got shot at, Kenneth Copeland's sister got shot at. Everybody wants to shoot at each other, and he doesn't want to go to jail on this new gun charge that he got busted with Aaliyah Jackson, who's the cop. All of this shit got to it. It just hit him all of a sudden because he even has 2 kids. He even said to the cops, I got 2 kids. I don't need this shit anymore. He just did a stint in prison for 5 years. So all this stuff, and he doesn't get money from Young Thug anymore. He even said, I hit him up, but it's hard. He's barely making it. So he realizes, Kenneth Copeland realizes that he can't get help from Young Thug anymore. So what does he do? Does he go to prison, or does he snitch to save him, to save Aaliyah Jackson, his girlfriend, and save his kids? Of course he's going to snitch. He doesn't have a choice but to snitch. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to believe him, just the way Sammy Gravano was
They
believed.
very well could believe him. They very well could believe him and really look at this artist as sitting at the top of this gang-affiliated mob organization as the mob boss, calling all the shots, putting out a hit on that guy, right?
Yeah. It could be.
All 12 have to believe that, though.
All 12 have. That's the key. So everybody listening to this podcast, here's some, for the Young Thug fans, there's some good news. You got to get 12 people to unanimously say he's guilty. If one person says, I'm not buying it, it's a what they call in football. It's you're blocking a field goal. Okay, and that's all they want to do is block the field goal. You don't need to win by a touchdown. Just block the field goal. Block that ball and you win. Now you're going to ask me, well, RJ, what happens if they block the field goal and they get 11-1 guilty?
Yeah, what happens?
They're going to try it again.
This prosecutor will not let it go.
Hell no. She'll try it again.
Because it's 11-1. She's
And not
close.
only that,
she could smell it.
And not only that, her political ambitions are on the line. If she doesn't win that, if I was running against Fonnie Willis, I'd say she wasted millions of your dollars and she got nothing in return.
Got it.
But if she wins on a second go round, she could say, yeah, the first one was tough because we had some kinks, but we worked it out. We got justice.
So you have to believe in her heart of hearts. She believes that he's guilty and she's going after him.
I don't know that she believes in her
You
heart
don't
of hearts.
think so?
I think she's an ambitious person. And you know what they say, be aware of an ambitious person. That could be the most dangerous person you meet.
Oh my God.
And let me tell you,
that is really scary.
and let me tell you why. Because she defended a YSL gang member, was a criminal defense attorney.
Well, she was a defense attorney at the time.
I know, but why is she going so strong? Do you think that right now, if I hang my hat as a criminal defense attorney, I'm going to go after, Mariana Maravilla or 18th Street or La M or the Bloods or the Crips or any of the other gang members?
I mean, would you be the right guy to do it since you know all the secrets and you
No.
know kind of things? You know how they approach issues?
I have no idea how Fonnie Willis became a DA or how they didn't conflict her out. How did she not get conflicted out of prosecuting YSL?
Having defended YSL members in the past.
I would have got, well, not Fonnie Willis. Fonnie Willis isn't prosecuting right now. It's another prosecutor.
Oh, I thought,
But
so
she filed the indictment.
The DA, though.
She filed the indictment. She's not. But the point is, it's still a conflict at some point.
Yeah.
And it just seems clear to me that she's going after these high-profile people. Either that, or it's a coincidence, like Donald Trump. You got a Young Thug. It just seems to me blatantly obvious that it's politically oriented. It doesn't mean that it's not carrying justice, by the way. I'm not saying that she's not carrying justice. I'm just saying on the tail end, you got the collateral ancillary effect benefit of, the political win, right?
Yeah, and I did read she's facing a somewhat like a 60% rise in violent crime in her district.
Yes.
And so she's doing it a little bit under the pressure of that rising violent crime. I heard her make some statements like, listen, if you're going to come into my county and commit a crime, don't rap about it or
Right.
I'm going to use that against you. I'm going to come after you for that.
The opposite of Gascon in Los Angeles, right? Gascon would never prosecute you if you wrote gang lyrics.
I mean, would we want this? Perhaps it's better than Gascon. Maybe this is overreach, though. Like,
it's the opposite. No, you want
This is a
Gascon.
lot.
You want Gascon and Fonnie Willis, smash them together like a smash burger, and I think that would be the perfect burger.
Right.
Not too much to the left, not too much to the right, just right in the middle.
So what are we looking for now? I mean, this thing is streaming live. I know on the Law and Crime Network they're showing it and probably other places too.
Yes.
So you can go watch this trial happening in real time.
Yes.
What are we looking for? Just different witnesses are coming up?
Yeah, they have a lot of witnesses coming up. The gang expert testified right now before. I mean, not to rehash everything, but the gang expert is basically testifying that, yes, you could be an artist and essentially and be a gang member. And they're asking, how's that possible? And they're mentioning that you could be running, and they gave examples of how you could be running an organization and still running a front. For example, the mafia, they could be loan sharking, killing, but they have pizza stores, they have restaurants, they have clubs, they have tailors, they're in the garment industry.
Are we talking about YSL or the mafia?
Well, any
any
illegal
criminal
organization,
yeah.
The smart ones, they
set up businesses.
They have to, and that's what they're saying that YSL is. They're saying it's a funnel, just like the mafia funnels. They're saying it's a funnel into the record company, and they're just rapping about their crimes.
Right.
And they're saying that they're making money off rapping about their crimes, almost like writing a book about killing people and making money.
Right.
Contrary to the Son of Sam laws, right?
It's crazy. I'm glued to this case, and we're watching it closely. Anything else before we go?
No,
I
just
feel like we're gonna have to do an update because it's moving. It's moving really quick, right?
yeah.
We can come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this. I think that Young Thug isn't gonna testify in the trial. I don't think he can. He's got way too much to explain, and it would be bad for him to testify. If I were Brian Steele, I would make an argument that they didn't meet the case, they didn't meet the burden, that this is a clear slam dunk, that Kenneth Copeland's a liar, that's all they have. If you take Kenneth Copeland out of the mix, that the house of cards crumbles, that this is a young, good guy. And I'd hit that over and over again with the jury. This is a good guy. He's come from nowhere, from the ashes. Do you know what the odds of somebody like that surviving and coming to this location?
Very impressive.
Don't put him back where it was. Help bolster him. This is a good guy. And the prosecution, you and I know, are trying to make something out of nothing.
Right.
And that Kenneth Copeland guy, that's what you want to convict my guy on? You're going to go back to bed every day of your life after you vote guilty, and you're going to feel comfortable with knowing that you relied on a snitch, a murderer,
Right.
that had everything to gain by lying. That's your job, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And, I think that would be enough.
That sounds strong. That sounds strong. It really makes it emotional, and it kind of makes it feel like the prosecution's got a thin case where they're going after song lyrics and things like that. We'll see.
Well, there's more. There's going to be more.
I know they have more evidence.
There's more evidence. This is just the beginning. So, and by the way, it's not usually good when the prosecution comes out this strong. Like a horse race, you don't want the horse taking off much, much faster than you.
Right.
This horse they're like 3-4 horses down, lengths down, and they shouldn't be. So Brian Steele needs to do some damage. And the only way they do damage is Kenneth Copeland. They need to nuke him on the stand.
What's the timeline of the trial? Are we a month out before we get a result? 2 months
This will
out?
probably go on for another 2 weeks. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now. Probably number two more weeks, maybe a little less.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be glued to it, and I'm sure we'll do an update, all right?
Yeah.
Let's come back and...
I'll tell you what. I do want to thank a super fan that requested this show. A super fan texted me. Her name is Ashley London, and said, I love your podcast. I subscribed. I love your show.
Shout out Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. And she said, would you do the Young Thug trial? She said that she's a fan, or I think she's a fan, and she wanted to know what's going on because she's flabbergasted at the fact that the government wants to use lyrics. And I think a lot of people aren't able to parse and nuance what's going on, and they think that they're using rap lyrics. So she wants to know, is it true, RJ? Are they using rap lyrics? Can you please explain what's going on?
Right. Well, thank you, Ashley, for writing in and requesting that and inspiring us to go into this discussion on Young Thug. I mean, we've tried to approach it from all angles and give you a nuanced sort of understanding. I've learned a lot talking to you about it. Let's come back and review it, shall we?
Yes.
As soon as we know more?
Absolutely.
Awesome.